Slavery begins in the early 1800s.
Earlier.
No,
Slavery?
1816 is the beginning of slavery.
1619.
Liberals come in different colors, shapes, sizes, genders, and mental illnesses. One thing they all have in common is being wrong and getting owned. Let's enjoy some of those moments, shall we? You know what to do, right? Like and comment. If you're new here, you should subscribe, okay? Liberal owning, here we go.
To summarize maybe the woke mind virus, it consists of creating very, very divisive identity politics. So it actually amplifies, woke mind virus in my view, amplifies racism, amplifies, frankly, sexism, and all the isms. And while claiming to do the opposite, it actually divides people and makes them sort of hate each other, and it makes people hate themselves.
Woke ideologies are like cancer. On the surface, they appear to be cool, but then cause deeper negative effects than people realize.
I was just going to ask if you see the irony in your own propaganda in the Constitution on your brainwash tour. Having the explanations here because you don't believe the reader is smart enough to understand the language is kind of propaganda.
Well, no, so do you know who that audience is for?
For people who can't read it.
Yeah, that's a Constitution for third graders.
Yeah, why are you handing it out to college students?
Let's test your knowledge. Don't open it up.
Right.
What is the 10th Amendment? Okay, let's get easier. What's the 4th Amendment?
Isn't that the No Quartering Act?
No, that's the 3rd Amendment. How many articles are there in the U.S. Constitution?
There's 8 articles.
7.
7.
What is Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution?
I just want to ask
No,
you a
no,
question.
but I'm just saying, you came here, guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
You do not know more than a 3rd grader about the U.S. Constitution.
If you don't see the article.
Yeah, I actually know it. You should keep.
Now ask him what a woman is and watch his wheels just explode. Is it propaganda to hand out a simplified form of the Constitution? What do you call poisoning the minds and bodies of children? What do you call taking parental rights from parents and handing it to 11-year-olds?
It's come to mean a lot of things.
But what originally it was meant to mean, it's just being aware of inequities in society and being aware of facts and history.
Yeah, I think it's come to be. I think being aware of inequities in society is fine, of course, but trying to blame everything trying to make everything a race issue is, I think, divisive and corrosive to society.
Even as it relates to trans issues, which is what I'm.
Yeah, race or gender or whatever.
You think that society blames everything on racism now?
It blames a lot of things on it, and yeah.
Just like a virus, wokeness is constantly evolving to a more dangerous form. What it started as is not what it means currently anymore. Racial inequities are important conversations to have, but they shouldn't be allowed as an excuse for everything in society.
I think being aware of inequities in society is fine, of course, but trying to blame everything trying to make everything a race issue is, I think, divisive and corrosive to society.
Even as it relates to trans issues, which is what I'm.
Yeah, race or gender or whatever.
You think that society blames everything on racism now?
It blames a lot of things on it, and yeah.
You think that's unfair?
Yeah.
Why?
I think we should not make this a constant subject. I think we need to move on. I think we should treat people like people.
You don't agree that this country was founded on racism and founded on slavery and in many ways inequities? That still continue on to this day?
I think every country at that time, and I think even today, was extremely racist. Every country. And obviously slavery was present in about half of this country. And but was not present in the North. There was racism for sure. But I think we want to look to the future rather than the past.
Is slavery bad? Yes, it is. But now that it's over, why is there a need to constantly rehash the past when those who are responsible for the act are actually dead and gone?
Yes. Well, not everyone was a slave.
No,
but,
everyone was a slave.
Okay, but
we are all descended from slaves.
yeah. Well,
All of us.
yeah. But,
It's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
right.
But what future do we want? Is this something we want to make part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say, like, let's just move on and treat everyone, according to just who they are as an individual?
I don't know about you, but if we all agree to treat everyone as individuals and focus on the present, we can finally move on from the history and memories of slavery, don't you think?
I have a friend who has a trans kid. He's explained that, my child from a very young age consistently said, I am a girl, never changed their mind. And so the humane thing and the thing that he felt was good to do as a parent was to embrace that choice. I shouldn't even phrase it as a choice, like embrace that identity.
But it is a choice, right? You're choosing to add hormones to a child's body.
It's a choice
blockers.
it's a choice on the part of the parent.
Okay, but if that's who they are, if they think that they're a girl, why do you have to give them hormones to make them more of a girl?
Because I'm sorry, can you expand on the question?
It's a simple question. If the child thinks it's a girl, let it be a girl. Why are you adding hormones? You're choosing to inject things into this child's body on a regular basis that are going to radically affect the physical development of their body.
Yeah.
And you're saying that this isn't a choice. Well, it's definitely a choice to do that.
It's such a simple question. Let's be clear. Those parents didn't have a trans child. They had a confused child, and they created a trans child out of that confusion.
What do you think about white men?
I think it's just the term white man, just immediate turn off.
What do you think of black men?
Love.
Do you think it's racist to, by default, not like white men?
I mean, I don't think so, because I think there's a difference between racism and that's an interesting question.
There's been a connection problem between the mouth and the brain of the speaker. Please try again later.
I've seen this one YouTube thumbnail that says, Charlie Kirk believes that TikTok is turning children trans. Do you agree with the statement?
TikTok is playing a role in making them think that they might have gender identification issues. This is Chloe Cole. She's a detransitioner.
In my experience, I learned about transgenderism through the internet at roughly about the age of 11 or 12. And it captivated me. I had body image issues, and it felt like I found the explanation as to why I felt so different from the women around me.
Social media in general led you to believe the wrong idea, and that in turn what made you go down a path that maybe wasn't right for you.
It's beyond not right for me. This has left permanent effects on my body. I might not be able to have children. I have complications from the puberty blockers, the testosterone, and the surgery.
That's
3
correct.
years after I've stopped taking all of them.
I'm very suspicious about, I'd like to say that you're wrong about trans people being indoctrinated.
I've met hundreds of other detransitioners, some even younger than I was, and have come out of it with
Claim that conservatives can't speak for certain groups of people. They can't speak for trans people, can't speak for black people, and must not even whisper for women who choose abortion. But when members of these groups speak up, you don't want to hear it.
Do you see this person next to me? E is my friend. C has had to put up with a lot to get to where Per is today. I just want to let Glint know that Thon is valid.
I'm interested in your opinions too, but generally, I think we should be aiming for a positive society, and that it should be okay to be humorous. We should wokeness basically wants to make comedy illegal, which is not cool.
We've experienced a little bit of that.
Chappelle, what? Trying to shut down Chappelle? Come on, man, that's crazy. So do we want a humorless society that is simply rife with condemnation and hate, basically?
And no forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Don't we all agree that the concept of wokeness has led to a lot of sensitivity, bigoting, confusion, hatred, and condemnation amongst many people?
Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No, I'm just saying that we should not lower the standards for them.
Okay, but there's no evidence that standards are being lowered when it comes to the airline industry.
You've repeatedly said that there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, and watch the replies showing all the evidence that it is.
If a job standard is lowered only because of minority groups and women, then what is the point of standards and merits in society? Might as well have no requirements except the color of your skin, don't you think?
Reproductive justice is economic justice, close quote. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Okay. That's not true for the baby, is it?
Well, first of all, I would refer to a fetus, not
yeah,
a baby.
but that's, well, a fetus. I refer to it as a baby. That's not true as for the baby, is it?
The evidence that I presented to you, Senator Kennedy, was evidence about measurable effects on the lives of women, families.
Right, I got that part, but that's not true for the baby, is it? There is no economic justice for the baby because the baby's dead, right?
I wouldn't refer, I don't really know how to answer your question. I would refer to
was the baby dead or alive?
We're referring to a fetus.
Okay, is the fetus dead or alive after an abortion?
The fetus would be dead after an abortion.
All right.
Whose cat keeps taking these people's tongues? Please give it back already. I need to hear their gibberish.
Okay with abortion because women have the right to choose whether or not they want to have a baby.
Does it end the life of a human being?
It ends the life of cells. It does not end the life of a Yeah, okay, so you're a clump of cells that has been developed over time, but once you leave the vagina, then you're a conscious human.
Is abortion to you wrong at 9 months? Why are you personally against abortion?
Because fetus is about to come out of the vagina and it's gonna become an actual human. It's like almost fully formed.
When I had the ultrasound of my child, I wanted to get pictures of what she looked like at 25 weeks. She was fully formed. There's not a magical thing in the birth canal. You're like, oh, now as a human being, magically become a human being because you pass through a woman's birth canal. Because guess what? 2 of my kids never passed through my birth canal. I delivered C-section. Were they not human beings?
Is Fashion Week still going on? I believe this liberal is in the wrong place. If you like to walk, head to New York quickly. Hopefully the agenda of acceptance and diversity is still ongoing.
You want to share what you have to say?
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay. But I mean, when you link to somebody who's talking about the guy who killed children in a mall in Allen, Texas, and you say something like it might be a bad psyop. I'm not quite sure what you meant, but.
Oh, in that particular case, there was somehow that's not that that obviously people were killed, but it was, I think, incorrectly ascribed to be a white supremacist action, and the evidence for that was some obscure Russian website that no one's ever heard of that had no followers, and the company that found this is Bellingcat.
Right.
And do you know what Bellingcat does? PsyOps.
Right. I couldn't really even follow exactly what it was you were trying to express there, so that's in part why I was curious.
I'm saying that I thought the ascribing it to white supremacy was bullshit.
Okay.
In this video, Elon talks about his controversial tweet on white supremacy and communicates how important it is to trace the source of an idea before making issues about it. To put it simply, get your facts right. Does white supremacy truly exist?
Okay, can someone please tell me what about how I look right now makes you think I'm a girl? Like, don't even think about the voice, because, like, no, people at work yesterday, like, before even hearing my voice, they called me a she. So, like, what about how I look right now would make someone think that I'm a girl? Please be honest, because, like, it's driving me crazy. I'm about to start HRT. I'm raising money for that, so, like, Cash App in my bio, but, like, I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm binding, I got my trans flag necklace, like, what else could I do? Like, what, I don't...
You could start by taking that mask off. Afterwards, rip off all that costume, the necklace, the binding tape, and whatever bulge that is in your pants. Finally go outside, sit on the grass, don't forget to touch some as you breathe air.
And at some point, I don't know where you were, but you write in responding to another tweet.
Yes.
This is the actual truth. And it set off a firestorm of criticism all the way to the White House.
Right.
And then you make this trip to Israel. You have advertisers who've left the platform. People calling.
Well, the trip to Israel is independent of it wasn't some like apology tour. I want to be clear. That was.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So just take us back to the moment at which you write that.
Trip to Israel is independent of. It wasn't like in response to that at all.
Well, we'll do Israel in just a moment.
And I have no problem being hated, by the way.
I hear you.
Hate away.
Well,
apparently the richest man in the world has no problem being hated because of his controversial tweet on anti-Semitism. Haters, get over it.
I think it's a real weakness to want to be liked. A real weakness. And I do not have that.
Well, let me ask you this then. There's a difference between saying I don't care if anyone likes me or they hate me.
Yeah.
But given your power and given what you have amassed and the importance you have, I would think you want to be trusted. I would think maybe you don't need to be liked or hated, but trusted matters. If X is going to become a financial platform where people are going to put their money, where the government's going to give you money for rockets, where people are going to get into the cars, they need to ultimately decide that you are. Maybe they don't have to decide that they love you, but that you are ultimately a decent and good human being.
Yes, I mean I think I am. But I'm certainly not going to do some sort of tap dance to prove to people that I am. So as for trust, I mean, I think we break that down in a few ways. If you want satellites sent to orbit reliably, SpaceX will do 80% of all mass to orbit this year. China will do 12%. The rest of the world will do 8%. That includes Boeing, Lockheed, and everyone else. So the track record of the rocket is the best by far of anything. You could hate my guts next. You could not trust me. It is irrelevant. The rocket track record speaks for itself. With respect to Tesla, we make the best cars. Whether you hate me, like me, or indifferent, do you want the best car or do you not want the best car?
He's gonna say whatever he wants without waiting to be liked or trusted because there is an actual record to prove his credibility. Why don't you just give him credit? He's tough and does not back down.
That says that this is the actual truth. People read that tweet.
Yes. And
they say Elon Musk is an anti-Semite. That he is riling up this base. You're hearing it from, as I said, the White House. You're hearing it from Jewish groups all over. I think Jonathan Greenblatt from the ADL is here. There's lots of people who say this. And by the way, it's not just that.
Did you read the whole thing?
I did, and that's why I want to ask you about
And the responses.
Excuse me?
I said more.
More responses?
Yeah, I said more than what you just read.
Yes. There was absolutely more.
Yes.
But I'll tell you the thing that struck me. It wasn't, and I'm an American Jew. It wasn't just the people who had that view. It was actually people who really are anti-Semites, who said, "Oh my goodness, go Elon! This is fabulous." And that actually was the thing that really set me back. I said to myself, "What's going on here?" And I want to know how you felt about that in that moment when you saw all of this happening.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I did clarify almost immediately what I meant. I would say that was, if I could go back and say I should, in retrospect, not have replied to that particular person, and I should have written in greater length as to what I meant. I did subsequently clarify it in replies. But those clarifications were ignored by the media. And essentially, I handed a loaded gun to those who hate me, and arguably to those who are anti-Semitic. And for that, I'm quite sorry. That was not my intention. So I did, post on my primary timeline to be absolutely clear that I'm not anti-Semitic, and that I, in fact, if anything, am philo-Semitic. And the trip to Israel was planned before any of that happened.
Well, that settles it. Elon Musk is not an anti-Semite. It's not his first time being controversial, and his trip to Israel was not an apology tour for anyone.
What was that trip like? And obviously, you know that there's a public perception that, and you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online, There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger
I hope
today.
they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f yourself.
But
go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Okay, he has guts. See how his ideology isn't dependent on the advertiser's opinion? Woke cult members, you guys could learn a thing or two from this.
This is the approach, and I ask it because you've been
What's the other approach?
Well, you've been very particular about the approach to Tesla. When you think about the engineering involved in that, the approach to SpaceX, the approach to some of the stuff you're doing with AI has been very specific, right? There's not a let the chips fall where they may approach to those businesses, I don't think.
No, we focus on making the best products, and Tesla's gotten to where it's gotten with no advertising at all.
I understand that.
Tesla currently sells twice as much in terms of electric vehicles as the rest of electric car makers in the United States combined. Tesla has done more to help the environment than all other companies combined. It would be fair to say that, therefore, as a leader of the company, I've done more for the environment than everyone else, any single human on Earth.
How do you feel about that? No,
how do I feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you personally how you feel about that, because we're talking about power and influence, and
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Okay?
Simply put, do something good for society and stop complaining.
But if you generically, without condition, sort of fund, if you fund persecuted groups, in general, some of those persecuted groups, unfortunately, want your annihilation. And what I meant by that, when I subsequently clarified, is that it's unwise to fund organizations that support groups that want your annihilation. Is this coming across?
So the truth is, everyone is entitled to state their own opinion, no matter how controversial it seems. Why should the richest man in the world be an exception?
No, that's literally, yeah, good phrase, in the head, Neuralink.
Well, there we go. We need to touch that before it's over.
You know, the best interface would be a neural interface directly to your brain.
Yup, he may be controversial, but he is not an anti-Semite.
How did Obamacare destroy our healthcare system? More people.
You got an hour and a half? You got an hour and a half? Individual state exchanges, 28 medical excise taxes, not allowing health insurance to be bought across state lines.
Bro, you just love talking over women, don't you?
No, I like talking over you too, actually.
Well, I don't see any lies being told, so I approve of this message.
There's 10 billion people on Earth, and Elon Musk has $200 billion. Can't he just give each person $1 billion? And here's the twist. He will still have $190 billion left over. Isn't that concerning?
This is what happens when you forget basic mathematics and chase after gender studies and critical race theory. This is an adult woman. Absolutely embarrassing.
Yo, bro, you ever seen an NYPD turban, son? Yo, that's the first time my man got a turban NYPD.
If you knew your culture, you know that's not a fucking turban.
What is it? What is it?
You gonna ask me what?
Yeah, I'm asking you, what is it?
Look it up.
What is that, bro? It's a turban, right? What a fucking idiot! It's always these guys.
And we definitely know who he meant when he said these guys. They police culture, police pronouns, police white people, police costumes, police the police, and now they are policing turbans. That's a really nice car. I'm sure he can cover whatever lawsuit if he crushed that thing's foot.
Okay, so I see. So that's
so I was tricked into doing this, and it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. So
Anyway, and so I lost my son, essentially. So, you know, they call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
I'd be pissed if I was manipulated into losing my child as well. Puberty blockers have never been a good idea. Kids should remain kids, and they shouldn't be allowed to block their hormones because of how they feel at the moment.
So the Taliban believes it's okay to rape 8-year-old boys. Are they wrong?
To me, yes, they are wrong, but to themselves, they think it's right.
Are they objectively wrong?
To me, they're wrong. To them, they're right.
When somebody goes and rapes a woman here on campus, are they wrong?
Yes.
Why?
Because that is something you should not do.
You didn't do a should statement with the Taliban with little boys. What are you comparing should to?
Myself.
So it's your morality that
Yes.
triumphs over any objective laws.
It's my world. What I think is good is what I think is good.
And that's one of the most narcissistic
Yes,
things.
it is. I'm a narcissist. And so you say there is an objective good and an objective
Of course there is. None of this matters if we don't first acknowledge something outside of ourselves.
I rely on the community around me.
If you rely on the community, then in Nazi Germany, you'd be running trains to the concentration camps, right?
That's what people were doing.
That was wrong.
It was.
Okay. The question is, what's going to prevent us from doing that again?
Standards is something impossible to reach.
Is it impossible, or is it necessary to set for us to strive as close as possible to?
I mean, honestly, yeah, it's a good idea.
The future looks very scary. What do you mean when you say, to them they were right? Psychopaths think they are right. So are they actually right? Can you choose whose scholarship your taxes go to? This young man is a waste of money.
Yeah. Okay, so I see. So that's.
So I was tricked into doing this, and you know, it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son, essentially. So, you know, they call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
Perhaps it all started when his son, Xavier Musk, turned transgender. At that point, Elon swore to end wokeness. In his heart, his son was not just dead named, but had been lost to the woke mind virus.
The reality is that almost every child goes through some kind of identity crisis.
Yeah, it's part of puberty.
Exactly, it's just part of growing up. So it's very possible for adults to manipulate children into who are having a natural identity crisis into believing that they are the wrong gender.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that,
especially, yeah, absolutely.
And that they need to be the other gender, or they need to be a boy, or a boy needs to be a girl, you know, and that will solve all their problems. And that will solve their problems, and then they give them sterilizing drugs, which are called also a misnomer, puberty blocker. These are sterilization drugs, so they can never have children again.
Yeah.
They can have double mastectomies, the mutilation.
Have their forearms stripped to build non-functioning penises.
Yeah, it's macabre, and I mean we have an age of consent for a reason.
Tearing down your body just to create a new identity is crazy. If you have no choice but to use certain drugs to prevent the hormones your body naturally produces, isn't that a form of self-abuse?
I mean, we have an age of consent for a reason. That the reason you can't get, say, tattoos below age 18, or drink or drive. You know, there are ages at which you can do things, because if we allow children to take permanent actions when they're 10, 12, 14 years old, they will do things that they subsequently greatly regret.
Beats me. If young people aren't allowed to drink, drive, or get tattoos below the age of 18, why should they be allowed to access something as life-altering as puberty blockers?
Okay. The reason I'm coming to your door is I had somebody look into that thing in your yard that I think is a monstrosity, and I don't really like the way it's like degrading our neighborhood. And he worked for the electric company, and he said that's not your property. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to remove it, or I will be making a complaint.
Hey, check this out. A couple points. When we moved in, we had a survey done that is 110% my property. That the county will verify it.
It says it is the roadway easement.
It's not the easement. I've got a survey, and this is the thing. You guys need to mind your own business. It's my yard. It's not. If the county could have did something about it, they would have.
Okay, but it's our neighborhood, and you're degrading our neighborhood and bringing down our. I mean, it's just somebody who lives in the neighborhood.
It's. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you think, lady. And listen, turn your ass around and get off my property.
So now they are going to people's homes to complain about what they choose to decorate? If he has a Trump flag and you have an issue, show off your Kamalas. Nobody cares.
Tattoo's disgusting. Don't come back to my yard. Hey.
And your trespass fines are also not in here.
Hey, guess what? Trump's gonna be your daddy again.
I'm generally against things that are anti-meritocratic or where there's an attempt to suppress discussion, where even discussing a topic is, not allowed. The woke mind virus is communism rebranded.
Yup, where is the lie? Anything that seeks to control the opinions of people or their rights to discuss certain issues openly is communism rebranded.
Who's taking care of your kids right now?
Excuse me, are you trying to shame a working mother
Not
of
at
four
all, but you aren't
who's taking care of my kids right now? What an anti-feminist statement to make. In fact, I have an amazing spouse who homeschools my children. But if my children were in daycare right now, who are you to tell me that I'm not a good mother?
I'm not telling you you're not a good mother.
Oh, you just asked who are taking care of my children. Would you ask a man that? Would you have asked a man that? If a man was standing here, would you have said, who's at home taking care of your kids? No, you wouldn't. You asked me that because I was a woman. That's anti-feminist.
Face mask girl really thought she did something. Run, little one, run. That's not just anti-feminist Kristen, it's very misogynistic, and you should feel attacked and unsafe. You better call the police because that question was an act of violence against you and a potential threat to your family. You should call the cops.
Over the past year or so, since purchasing X, you've become more political. Is there a part of you that regrets that?
Have I?
In this battle to sort of counterweigh the woke that comes from
I guess if you consider fighting the woke mind virus, which I consider to be a civilizational threat, to be political, then yes.
Elon calls the woke mind virus a threat to civilization. Do I agree? Heck yeah.
What is one thing that liberals can do that conservatives can't?
They're really good at getting that septum pierced. That's what they can do. No way, you couldn't pay me to do that. One, it probably hurts, and two, it's ugly.
Not with it.
One more thing, they can make a dang good coffee. If my barista doesn't have purple hair, I don't want it.
They are really good at screaming gibberish that they can't back up. They have the greatest victim superpower in the world. They are the best at coming up with ridiculous names and terms. They are really good at racism. Undefeated. What else do you think they are good at? Leave it in the comments.
A society that is simply rife with condemnation and hate, basically.
And no forgiveness, right?
Yeah. At its heart, wokeness is divisive, exclusionary, and hateful. It basically gives mean people a reason. It gives them a shield to be mean and cruel, armored in false virtue. What do you think?
I'd agree with that.
I think wokeness has enabled a lot of cruelty to oneself in society while trying to cover up as the good guy.
I mean, we have an age of consent for a reason. That the reason you can't get, say, tattoos below age 18, or drink or drive. You know, there are ages at which you can do things, because if we allow children to take permanent actions when they're 10, 12, 14 years old, they will do things that they subsequently greatly regret.
For something as life-altering as puberty blockers, shouldn't the age of consent apply to its usage as well? Think about it. A child is a child because they don't always make the smartest decisions, not because they are dumb, but because they are inexperienced, ignorant, and can be easily manipulated.
In your judgment, are voter ID laws racist? Professor Tolson.
Thank you for that question. So it depends. One thing we have to stop doing is treating all voter ID laws as the same.
Okay, so your answer, I want to move quickly, so it depends is your answer?
Yes, it does. That's my answer.
Okay, so what voter ID laws are racist?
How would you, Mr. Cruz, your state of Texas, perhaps?
Okay, so you think the entire state of Texas is racist. What about requiring an ID to vote is racist?
So I think, sir, that's pretty reductive. I'm not saying the entire state of Texas is racist.
You just said my state of Texas, so you tell me, what about the Texas voter ID laws is racist?
So the fact that the voter ID law was put into place to diminish the political power of Latinos.
35 states across the country disagree with that, because 35 states have voter ID laws in effect. But not just 35 states. 81% of voters in America disagree with the radical views proposed by the Democrats and the Democratic witnesses. Not just 81% of Americans. 77% of black voters in America support voter ID law. 78% of Hispanic voters in America support voter ID law. 81% of low-income Americans support voter ID law. And yet, what this bill is about is putting radicals in charge of saying, if you require an ID to vote, that is racist and must be struck down. This is all about partisan power.
Hold a second, shouldn't the people who are given the power to choose the leaders of their country be citizens of that country? That's like a guest choosing what's for dinner while the homeowners just stare. Is this a joke?
Let's just keep it real simple. Just 2 yes or no questions. Dr. Kumar, can biological men become pregnant and give birth?
So men can have pregnancies, especially trans men.
Can biological men become pregnant and give birth? So are you saying that a biological female who identifies as a man and therefore becomes pregnant is, quote, a man? Is that what you're saying?
These questions about who can become pregnant are really missing the point. I'm here to talk about
No. This is me asking a question and you answering. I'm asking the question, sir, not you.
Right, and I'm answering the question. Somebody with a uterus may have the capability of becoming pregnant, whether they're a woman or a man. That doesn't make a difference.
Okay, we're done.
Not every person with a uterus
isn't complicated.
has the ability
Let me
to become
tell you,
pregnant.
if a person has
This
a
is
uterus and is born female, they are a woman. That is not a man, and the vast majority of the world considers that to be a woman, because there are biological differences between men and women.
How is that young man allowed to be a doctor? The world is getting scary.
The so-called gender-affirming care, which is a terrible euphemism.
That's for sure.
It's really a child sterilization, is what it should be.
No, there's mutilation too.
Mutilation.
Yeah, well, we want to make sure that amalgam is.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's child mutilation and sterilization.
Yeah. Under the guise of gender-affirming care and compassion.
Right.
Is hormone therapy, genital reconstruction, breast reconstruction, facial plastic surgery, speech therapy, psychiatric services, and any other gender-affirming care going to change your chromosome? I don't think so.
They hung this in our community. We want it off the polls. We want that to be the beginning of a hate crime. And that organization, which is a white liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. And in here, coming up in here, acting like y'all representatives of social justice.
Say that.
But all along, all you're doing is trying to use black people to find a reason to make some money. You leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr., just do like that Tulsa lady. You better
Imagine if Republicans had something similar hung next to some LGBTQ poster. They would cry assault and attempted murder. Well, at least you see who is really on your side now. Better late than never.
We're going to call the abortion facility and I'm going to tell them I'm pregnant with a 32-week fetus, as you say. Hi, I just turned 32 weeks pregnant. Am I able to come in for an abortion ASAP?
I wouldn't be able to see you for the week of the 23rd, so that would put you at 34 weeks.
Can I still have an abortion at 34 weeks?
Yes, ma'am. I just have to do an intake form. Do you have about 5 minutes?
Sure, I have 5 minutes. Yeah, I just found out that she could have Down syndrome. I can still have the abortion, right, even though she has Down syndrome?
Yeah, so we just have to do an intake because the doctor...
It doesn't matter. That's late-term abortion, ma'am. That's abortion in the 8th month of pregnancy that's discriminatory based on someone's genetic code. She just confirmed she would commit an abortion on me with my child who's...
Earlier, she said no one wanted or performed late-term abortions just like her presidential candidate. When faced with facts, she didn't change her mind. Who else is not surprised? Bloodthirsty and out if control is what they are.
Get the my face now!
Ooh,
now!
That was very rude of you.
Get the my face!
Do you want to go to jail? Sir, ma'am, I don't really know what to call you.
You're fucking done, man.
I'm done.
Get the fucking police, you just insulted me.
Well, listen here, pal. I mean, you are gonna go to jail.
And I could fucking tell the police to get you.
I'm vegan, so don't say that. Listen.
Tell me, He-Man, you really get the fuck out of my way right now.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
You do not have a release. I will sue you.
You're gonna sue him? Don't sue him, man, because we're trying to just...
You do not have a release. If you... I will destroy you. I will destroy you.
Just keep going on. I got my crew with me now. I got my crew. Yeah! Yeah! What's up?
Wow, didn't your mom teach you any manners? That behavior is not very ladylike.
All of us, no matter what we do, we're raised in the United States, which fundamentally from its founding, racism's been part of our country.
So you are a racist?
No, I'm an anti-racist. I'm an active anti-racist.
But you say you have something in you against black people.
Yeah, we all do.
What do you have against black people?
Nothing that I could ever put my finger on.
How do you know you have it then if you can't put your finger on it?
Because I think it exists in all of us. It's what growing up in America is. Do I think black people can be racist? No.
You don't think black people can be racist?
Can they be prejudiced and biased? Yes. Racism is about power, and you need to have power in order to be racist.
One last thing then about that. Is Obama and Oprah and Bill Cosby, are those people racist? They have power.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
But they have power. You say you have to have power. Are they racist?
No, because honestly, even if the president is black, that doesn't mean that we don't have racism in our country.
But in order to be a racist, you got to have power. And Obama doesn't have real power.
No. I'm sorry.
You hear something new and more ridiculous every day, don't you? Where do these things even come from?
But don't you think that like there's a reason that a lot of the black community doesn't have a father, and it's because of systemic racism. It's because like black men are more likely to be in prison.
Oh yeah, so why do people go to prison?
For like a lot of the time it's because they're in poverty and they have no other.
So they commit crimes.
Because
Yeah, but so wait. So wait.
Why do they
So wait, if you're
commit crimes?
So in poverty, we should give excuses for committing crimes?
Yes, because if they have no
like murder?
I did not say murder. I'm saying like if someone is stealing something because they have no money and there's no jobs.
That's so interesting. So you think most crimes are crimes of necessity in the black community?
I'm not saying most.
So like gangbanging is like a crime of necessity?
That I literally never said that. I'm saying
But you're making an argument of crimes of necessity. Like they're so hungry they can't handle it. So these are a lot of probablys. I don't believe you, but I'm talking about laws, right? So what in the legal code of America can you as a white individual do that the black individual can't? Because systemic means it's in our code, right? It's for example, like Jim Crow, totally get it. That's systemic racism. What is systemically your advantage?
Maybe like housing codes, because I know redlining isn't a thing anymore, but there is isn't there people who are white are more likely to be given loans because of like they have less I don't know, that's just it's back from redlining, it's a lot of the same stuff.
So loans are now given favorably to black Americans in certain cities over white Americans. You're making excuses for criminals.
Yeah,
And what an insult to poor immigrants that came to this country that didn't commit crimes and worked 2 or 3 jobs and worked themselves out of poverty and didn't decide to go deal coke.
Well, my father is a white immigrant from Poland, and he committed crimes, and he's fine now. So
Did he go to jail?
Yeah, he did.
I thought there was systemic racism. I thought that doesn't happen very much.
I expected her to say her dad getting imprisoned was prejudice against immigrants or something. Well, at least she's not that delusional.
This is what makes us different. As a conservative, I focus on if you have family breakdown, don't worry about climate change, don't worry about systemic racism. All that stuff is like these crazy abstractions.
What do you think create family problems? Systemic racism creates family problems. If you take away black people from their families, then they're going to have broken families.
Okay, so, but that's interesting. How are you taking them away? Aren't they leaving?
I take that back. She is very delusional. Are black men being snatched from their women? I think she thinks this is the era.
To them.
Come up to the mic and call me a racist to my face, or are you an intellectual coward and want to shout it from 30 feet away? Come on up. Come on. Call me a racist.
You are a f***ing racist who does not have accurate statistics or facts.
What have I said that's not factual or not true or anything that I've said that's racist? Name one thing.
Men used to hunt. Men used to go to war. Men used to build homes. Now, this is what they do.
You don't understand that this modern world and all this beautiful technology around you that you're sitting in right now, if it weren't for men building that and maintaining that, you would have no illusion of being able to be a strong, independent woman and have all these choices and do what you want.
But why do men do all of that?
They do it because they're benevolent and they are good. Isn't that crazy? They're actually really nice.
But they're getting something out of you.
If men were as bad and misogynistic as you think, they would put us in cages and we'd be, baby farms.
You're a bit of a baby farm. Haven't you popped out 5 children?
Yeah,
You're
I'm
a baby
mother.
farm.
Would you like me to go wake up my children and get them down here too so you can tell them that they're like gross little
I don't think it's appropriate.
I mean, take your little snarky little insults and shove them up your ass because you are a useless heifer who has never done anything except glorify your own.
Calling a mother a baby farm when you look like something reared on a farm is very brave.
The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize. And I sort of came to realize this somewhat late. The experience that we had in high school and college is not the experience that kids today are having, and hasn't been for 10 years, maybe 20 years.
Aren't parents themselves also a big part of the problem?
I suppose in some cases, but I think like the parents are just generally not aware of what their kids are being taught, or what they're not being taught. Let me give you an example that a friend of mine told me, which his daughters go to college go to high school in the Bay Area, and he was asking them like, well, so who are the first few presidents of the United States? They could name Washington, and I said, well, what do you know about him? Well, he was a slave owner. What else?
Right.
Exactly. Nothing.
Right.
Like, okay, maybe you should know more than that.
Yeah. That is the woke mind virus. Exactly. Yeah.
Should students be taught to focus on the negative side of history alone while neglecting the whole truth about history? Indoctrination is the only explanation as to why many young people claim to be wokies.
So let's say you own a pencil factory, I'm a worker in that pencil factory. You can have all the machinery, you can buy all the raw materials you want, but without me, and presumably many others like me, to assemble the pencils, all you would have is a pile of wood, yellow paint, graphite, rubber, and aluminum.
Okay.
That would be worth, and that is worth less than the pencil when you try and sell it. And yet, all of that value added by labor, apart from the wages that you give me, which if we're being honest, there is a major power imbalance in our ability to negotiate that.
If all that putting the pencil together requires is basic use of your prefrontal cortex, then yes, your labor is alienable at lower rates than if you are a doctor. That's not the fault of the person who owns the machinery.
But if you didn't have workers like me and your pencil factory and you were just one man.
But I have millions of people who are willing to do that voluntarily for me.
Socialists give me a headache. They really love handouts. If possible, they'd use GoFundMe as their source of income.
To the place right now, if you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out.
You can get out, you demon. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons. They hate this nation. Get mad all you want to. I don't care if you stand. I don't care if you throw tomatoes, praise God. I'm about to throw a microphone up in his house. CNN can eat my dirty socks. You cannot be a Democrat and a Christian. You cannot.
Somebody say amen, amen.
Basically, what the is going on? These guys are, this is not what we thought it was, girls. Like, they brought us to a fight. I'm simply saying that was what it was invoked in me. And so
it's our fault you acted that way?
I believe you took a misstep in not properly vetting people who would have like PTSD symptoms, autism, different neurodivergences that would make a difference with how they're communicated
So just be clear, it's our fault you acted that way.
It is your fault for getting this deeply into personal topics with women and not vetting them psychologically.
You want me to do a psychological...
It could just literally be a couple questions. It could be like, do you have a history of PTSD, for example?
But then,
do you have any mental disorders that are under
Brian
care?
Wouldn't even be qualified to judge the measurement, even...
Where do these types of women even stem from? If you have a neurological hurdle that would make a debative podcast difficult, just don't sign up. How hard is that?
Do you think currently that transgender men have to sign up for selective service?
Are they assigned male or female at birth?
They're assigned female at birth.
Yeah.
They don't.
Okay.
So what you have just demonstrated is that even if we're talking about the trans agenda, that trans men, they're still not equal with trans women.
Because they're men.
If that's true, then how come they don't have to sign up for selective service?
They should have to because they're men. Yes.
So then shouldn't trans women be exempt under this?
Yes.
Even though they're biologically males?
No, trans women are women.
Biologically male.
Trans women are women.
Yeah, but biologically they're males.
Trans women are women.
You're
They're
not saying
women.
anything.
They're
Something very
biologically whatever, they're women.
So what you're saying here is trans men who are born female should have to sign up for the draft, but that the ones who are assigned man at birth, they should be exempt from the draft.
Yes.
Then biological men, if they say they're women, they don't have to get drafted.
Sure, throw that equal rights amendment up there and we're all equal and draft.
Check her Instagram bio, it definitely says feminist, but that feminism is only catered to men. Oh wow, this is what the youngsters call a pick-me. Guess how that ended?
I have obviously bitten off more than I can chew.
No, you're good.
No.
Oh, you're doing great. Don't worry about it. You're a legend. You're a
Thank
legend.
you.
You came in guns blazing. You're doing great.
I tried. No, I really do appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Wait, we got to get through at least all your notes.
No.
Hold on.
Can this be a respectful quit?
Wait. You can't just
I'm
leave.
not letting it go. I'm not crying. I'm tired. That's
You're
why.
tired?
Yeah, I've been up since like 3 a.m.
Listen, but at least hear the offer.
I always forget that being pro-choice technically means that I'm pro people also being able to choose to keep the baby. Like, I just heard about some people from my high school who like accidentally got pregnant and the girl is apparently decided to keep the baby, and my first thought was like, what? I'm like, our state is pro-choice. You can get rid of it. And I said that to like a mutual friend and she was like, well, yeah, she can also choose to keep it. I was like, oh, that's how that works.
You forgot that children had the right to life? Of course you did.
What do you bring to the table?
I'm not going to answer this question. This is just something that I wouldn't answer in a date. I'm not going to answer here.
Fine.
I'm not going to answer how many books I've read.
What do you expect men to bring to the table?
Integrity, clarity, consistency, strong connection to divinity, emotional availability, emotional maturity.
So what is the female equivalent of that?
The same.
Then why wouldn't you just say that at the table when he asks you?
Well, answer the question. Stop staring like an A4 paper. You didn't see a ghost. You were asked a simple question.
Well, it's certainly a recipe for trouble, I suppose, or contention.
What was it ultimately that led you to make the decision to do it?
I mean, this is going to sound somewhat melodramatic, but I was worried about that it was having a corrosive effect on civilization. That it was just having a bad impact. I think part of it is that it's where it was located, which is downtown San Francisco.
Elon calls wokeness a threat to humanity, and I agree because a lot of people with woke ideologies tend to believe that their opinion is absolute. They don't want to consider the facts, natural biology, or science itself. Instead, they want to be driven by their feelings, and humanity cannot afford to be controlled by emotions alone.
This woke mind virus, how did it start? Was it bats? Was it a escape from a lab? I mean, what is your assessment of what? Because it's fairly recent. How did it start and why?
I was trying to figure out where it's coming from. I think it's actually been a long time brewing. In that I think it's been going on for a while. The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize.
You heard him. The woke mind virus did not develop from a laboratory or an outbreak of bats, but it's a planned agenda that has been brewing for a while.
Gonna hope you respond in a way that's not so just conservative talking point and more of a conversation way.
Sure.
Okay. You were talking about how historically Native Americans have been kind of like screwed over by the US government. Don't you think that history will make it more difficult to succeed in America?
We've made tremendous accommodations, such as sovereignty of Native American land, an entire department of the federal government dedicated just solely to that.
I recognize those efforts, but obviously they haven't worked.
So why haven't they worked?
Like, we need to treat it more as an equity thing and change it societally.
So you do know that there's universal health care at Native American reservations, right?
Yeah, but it's not very good.
Because it's socialistic.
No.
Look, I think the best way to help Native American communities is to help all people through empowerment and education. Instead, we tried a heavy-handed government approach, and if you want to go see a socialist dystopia, go to a Native American reservation.
We always have the same arguments, but somehow these people never actually learn anything. They just keep talking. Conservative talking point when all you say is liberal pamphlet headings.
I mean, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you gotta stop, man, or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
Guys, you're looking at America's #1 advocate of freedom of speech here. Elon will tweet what he wants whenever he wants, no matter how controversial it seems. He's brave, I'll give him that.
The reason I ask you, listen, there are a whole lot of things that people maybe have questions about when it comes to transgender people. Even people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community have questions about that. But if you are a free speech absolutist, right? And that is part of the First Amendment. Also, the freedom of expression falls under that First Amendment as well. So why can't people choose to identify with the gender that they feel comfortable with or use a pronoun? Isn't that part of freedom of expression?
I guess no. They can ask others to do whatever they feel. They can ask others to do anything. It's a different question whether they mandate that others do that thing.
That's it. You can't force people to agree with your opinion. Last I checked, expression and compulsion are two different things.
I acquired X in order to preserve freedom of speech in America, the First Amendment. And I'm going to stick to that. And if that means making less money, so be it.
Selfless much? It's official. X will allow you to express your ideologies regardless of what other people may or may not feel comfortable with.
Shut up, you know what you sound like? You sound like a DJ.
It's DJ Delusional Wokie. Make some noise.
Identify as a non-binary lesbian. People, actually do accept
I thought lesbians were women attracted to women. How are you non-binary and a lesbian?
Identify as a woman, and a lesbian is a woman who loves another woman, then why would you not identify as queer? And yes, we're going to labels here, but like genuine curiosity, I'm trying to understand if a lesbian is no longer a woman who's sexually attracted to another woman, then a lesbian can be
anybody. A man, which is literally what's happening.
Exactly. Thank you, ladies. Women like these are why other women have to share spaces with mentally unstable men.
How do they actually give out a degree for that? That's madness.
I was a gender and sexuality studies major at NYU, and I'm going to tell you what we read. Mr. Outsider by Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde is a pioneer of Black lesbian feminist thought, and this is a collection of her essays, speeches, and work over the years. White Mother to a Dark Race. This book unpacks how the United States and Australia are settler colonialist power. 6. Extinction. Book goes through how the Anthropocene and man-made climate change is the 6th great extinction.
Welcome to 2024. Where people voluntarily waste their lives.
Trump or Kamala?
Kamala.
Why?
I think her focus on kind of like our generation, at least to me, has been something that I have seen.
Like supportive of Gen Z?
Yes.
What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. They make really bad decisions.
Nothing better than their queen calling out her own loyal subjects, right? Anyway, that's enough for today. What have we learned from liberals? Leave that in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so we can see you in the next video. Resist wokeness, guys.